We're a professional operation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome to our knitting space. If you're a new listener, hi, welcome, come on in and get comfortable. If you're a returning listener, great, wonderful, we're glad to see you again. We have a bit of extra ambient noise today. We're recording a little bit later than usual on a Tuesday. Mr. B is in the space. You might hear some extra background noise talking. And as per usual, we're in the village, so, you get car sounds. We might even get an ambulance. Things could get exciting around here. You never know. So, I'm Jocelyn.
I'm Diana.
And we're going to try an episode number the 2.
Number the 2.
Number the 2.
The 2.
The 2.
The only 2.
Well, there'll be extra 2s, but there'll be other numbers on top of it, so I don't feel like that's going to be the same kind of 2. It'll be a different 2. Today we're going to cover topics that include what's in the cup, cool threads, a lovingly purloined title, PhD works. That's from the Knit More Girls podcast. Should you be like me and binge listen pretty much to the beginning at this point? Yarn on the go, events, and book reviews. So why don't we start with what's in our cup today?
Today we are both drinking the same thing.
Makes it convenient.
Which is the Blueberry Holiday Blend from Second Cup. And we got 2 tea bags in our little packet.
It's true, we do.
So we got an extra flavorful pot of tea.
Woot! Hey, I'm all for it. It's one of my favorite holiday tea blends, and you do it as like a London fog with the blueberry base. Amazing!
Ooh, I hadn't thought of that.
Mm-hmm. I'm all about the thinking things.
What else are you drinking?
As usual, I have my, as always, required ginger ale. I'm obsessed with ginger ale. I am to ginger ale what chain smokers are to smoking. I just...
You chain smoke ginger ale?
I chain smoke ginger ale. That's what we're going to take away from this one. No, it's a security blanket. It's a liquid beverage. I leave the house, I have one on me. I'm at home, I usually have an open can somewhere. I don't end up drinking a lot of it during the day, but it's always with me. Should I, just in case, need a liquid beverage and not have 4 other ones on the go? I'm the kind of person who'll have like 2 cups of tea, a glass of water, some ginger ale, and maybe hot chocolate all at the same time. I really like liquid. And I know you're drinking iced tea?
I am drinking an iced tea because for my birthday on the weekend, my wonderful mother bought me a David's Tea iced tea pitcher, which I then filled with some tea that Miss D of the Funky Kitchen got me during Knit Club on Sunday. So I'm drinking some Sweet Asian Pear iced tea.
A lot of it, apparently.
A lot of it, yes. This is my second pitcher. I made my first pitcher yesterday, and I drank it all yesterday.
Noting if there was any, I would also have a glass of this iced tea available to me, but apparently it's all gone.
No, there's still some left. You can have a glass if you want.
Maybe I'll have a glass with dinner, or we'll have some mead.
Ooh.
It is weird. What is it, Experimental Tuesday? Yeah.
Experimental Taco Tuesday?
Experimental Taco Tuesday combined with International Pie Day. So we're going to have experimental vegetarian tacos and blueberry pie for dinner.
Because pie is not cake.
Pie is not cake, and after a weekend's worth of birthdays...
It was both of our birthdays on the weekend.
Yes, being only one day apart is an interesting way to do things, but it's a lot. We both took Monday off and slept.
I played video games.
I slept. I'm old. I need to sleep now. I'm well into my 30s now. And a whole day of napping is super required. And work and phone call stuff, so that's really boring stuff. Let us move on to cool threads, which is what we're going to call what we're wearing. As per usual, it is always of the cold for my birthday week in the province of Manitoba. It was into the -2 cold, which is about 30 degrees below zero in the Celsius range. So I obviously wore my Kit Kat hat and my lightning fast mittens, which aren't the only layer of mittens I wear. There are gloves underneath those mittens.
Well, it's important. Sometimes you even have 3 layers when it's really cold.
Yeah, that's -2 cold to want to go outside for me, and I will go out at -30 willingly, so that's -2 cold. That's when they're telling you could freeze exposed body parts in less than 5 minutes, and those warnings are not uncommon for our province.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my cowl with no pattern, because I literally bought, if you've ever seen it in Walmart, it's the Bernay acrylic blanket yarn. And I literally just knit the whole ball. Straight shot. Sewed the ends together and call it a cowl. Straight stocking knit stitch the whole way through. Nothing fancy. But my God, when it's cold out, I just put that on and hold my hats down with it. And yeah, nothing gets through that beast. And it is amazing. And my severe winter cold cowl, you can't wear it in -4 because you will melt to death. But it is my cold weather cowl, and it is my favorite. No pattern. I just stockinette stitched a rectangle and sewed it together is what I did. It works really well.
Don't knock the stockinette stitch rectangle. It's very versatile.
It super is. A wonderful way to practice your stitching too, which is good. Alright. Oh no, I turned the page. I'm on the wrong page. What were you wearing this week?
What was I wearing this week? I do not have magical cold weather cowls.
I'll make you one.
But I have been wearing my sockhead hat, which is the one that matches the socks that still have a hole that I still need to fix. So I've not been wearing the matching socks. I've been wearing my Lindsay slouch, which is a crocheted lace hat. I really need to make a winter hat. These are both like spring, fall, maybe like a cool summer evening hat.
You need a winter
I
hat.
need a proper winter hat.
Yes, yes you do.
I've also been wearing my rainbow side shawl as a scarf, as usual, as I've been doing all winter, because it's cozy.
That's fair. Which is great, because it also means, we actually wear our knitting when we keep it. We're both big gift knitters. We knit things and go give them away to people. It just means there's more space in our closet to knit more things, in my mind.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, my love of the Knitmore Girls is going to show through here for a few seconds, so pardon the fangirl service, because I am a massive fan of Jasmine and Gigi.
Fangirl away.
They're so much fun to listen to. I am at the point now where I am pre-Genevieve in podcasting, and I've listened so that's episode like 419, and I'm back around episode 100, low 100s now.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we're like way back there. And they currently call their unfinished projects their UFO bins, which I think is terribly cute. But for a while they were debating between UFO bins and PhD piles, which is projects half done. Super love that. So, lovingly going to go yoink and take the PhD thing from the Knitmore Girls, and now we're going to call what we're working on our PhD works. Yeah. Fangirl moment over. You can't see me, but I'm grinning like an idiot with my hand shaking. I'm super excited about this. Jazz hands!
Serious jazz hands going on over there.
What? So happy. So, what's in your PhD works this week?
PhD works. At Knit Club on Sunday, I was working on my Belle Rose shawl, which is the first package from the Strickmich. Nope. Try that again. Strickmich Club. I will say it properly.
This club's gonna be great all year for me.
I will say the darn thing right the first time, maybe once by the end of the year.
We should get Mr. B or your fiance to pronounce it for us, since they can speak German.
I can hear in my head how it's supposed to be pronounced. I know how it's supposed to be pronounced. I just can't make my mouth make the same sounds.
Oh no.
It's Strickmich.
Oh.
Except I know my isn't quite right.
Right, okay. I know we posted a picture on Instagram of it. You took a picture of it over top of my yarn bowl.
Yes.
As I keep my in-current projects or my PhD works in a ginormous silver bowl on my coffee table, so every time I walk past it I can see what I'm working on. Whether it's in a timeout or not, it goes in the bowl. So it's a really big bowl since it's currently holding 6 projects on the go.
It is a very large bowl.
It's a really big bowl. It's not a complete project, but my Miss Diagonal wool rib shawl that I'm working on is starting to take over in that very glorious chunky knit that I've got it going in, which again has grown magically another technically 2 inches, though Diana insists at 6. I am just at 25 inches in length now, so I am just about halfway done. I'm 2 inches shy of being halfway done the project. And I gain about 1.5 inches to 2 inches every time I'm done an 8-row repeat. Chunky yarns for the win. I feel so accomplished when I work on that.
I don't feel terribly accomplished when I knit my stuff, because I knit so much stuff in fingering weight So
You're
unless
just-
I work on it for 6 hours, it doesn't seem to grow.
Well, yeah, but your stuff is so dainty and beautiful, and mine's quite. I am here.
It's winter. You have proper winter knitting. I've just got all this frilly little summer stuff.
Which will be
For
really
the,
good.
like, the 1 month of summer that we get.
Well, we get more than 1 month of summer. We get like 3 months of really good heat and 2 months on either side where it's just nice outside. We really only have 6 months of winter, and even of that, there's really only 2 months that it's just. Why do we choose to live in this
Bitterly cold.
province? Yeah. Otherwise, it's generally usually quite nice outside for layers and stuff. So, but we definitely get about 2 months of solid. Why do we choose to live in this province? It's too hot, and why do we choose to live in this province? It's too cold.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take. Roughly. Are you bringing anything other than your shawl?
I resurrected something out of hibernation
Ooh, goodness.
on Monday. I resurrected my Celtic Myths, the fingering weight version. So there, of course, there's a worsted weight version and a fingering weight version.
I'm going to do the worsted weight version.
And as part of the
I just decided this now.
as part of the Reddit, this knitting subreddit Knit Along last spring, you could choose to do the worsted weight or the fingering weight version. I, of course, chose the fingering weight version, and didn't finish it. It's been sitting untouched for like a year.
Was that the one that was sitting in the middle of your coffee table?
Yes, that's why it's not sitting in the middle of the coffee
I
table.
knew there was something different.
It is now sitting over by my computer because while I was working on it, I was trying out doing a Twitch stream.
Ooh.
I had precisely 0 viewers.
Well, you didn't tell me you were on. I would have followed.
That's alright.
Super okay to put Twitch on my Xbox on my TV and continue with my knitting and stuff.
Well, next time I'm doing a stream, I will let you know.
Let me know, man. These are the things that I need to know. I'm not psychic. I know
You can-
sometimes I know who's on the phone without looking at my caller ID, but that's not a consistent thing here. It's a little weird. I'm also super excited because wasn't talking to Diana about it. We weren't going to super share the knitting stuff. So she's going to see it for the first time, so you might hear a bit of squeals. But I started the Stephen West Boneyard shawl on Sunday.
Ooh.
And to keep my brain from going crazy, I've discovered that starting a shawl on straight needles and then moving it to circular needles as it gets too big for the straight needles is the way to go.
Ooh.
So
This color is so bright.
we will totally link the project in the Ravelry, but I've got it going on a teal, again in an acrylic, just so that Mr. B doesn't have to worry about whether or not I've got wool right up by my face. He's on his own for my sweaters and tunics and that. Those are going to be on a nice wool because I should be the only one petting myself in public. That's just awkward otherwise. It's a thing. But yes, this is in a teal colorway from Bernay Premium. So my big thing now is I was going to mix it and do it with a tweed in the Bernay as well. It's only about 600 yards to do the shawl. But I really like the way this color is turning out on its own, so I might just do this solidly in the teal and not worry about changing the color and use that tweed yarn for something else. Say maybe another hat or two. We should work out a thing off air about you knitting me pretty lace summer ones, and I'll knit you some chunky winter ones.
Ooh,
should-
okay. I
We
like
should
the
work on
system.
that. We like the system.
I like the system.
As usual, I think we're both working on our 365-day project of the granny squares.
Yeah. I totally worked on that.
Okay, I worked on the 365 Granny Square project. I'm following mostly now Yarn Utopia's YouTube channel, and she has amazing tutorials. It's very easy to follow and learn from. So I've been following hers, and I am trying to currently get ahead because very, very shortly I have a surgery. So at the moment I'm trying to plow through and get about a week ahead in the squares so that I can take a week off and just recover post-surgery and I don't have to worry about anything. So I am doing a few more than that than normal. And my bedtime knitting, which is technically crocheting, is my mother's Afghan, which I am working on the edge shawls. I can totally do that at night, sitting in bed, relaxing before I go to sleep, as it's a standard shell, 3 double crochet, granny square. It's nothing fancy, so I'm kind of whipping through those to finish that off, hopefully before my mom comes home from my surgery, so I can be like, happy early Mother's Day present. I don't have to put this in the mail. My mother lives in a different province than me, so.
And shipping things even inside Canada is horrendously expensive.
Yeah, it can get pricey because they do it by weight. I mean, if I was knitting or something that didn't weigh so much, probably would be fine because it'd only be like $30 or so, but I suspect it would be like a $60 ship otherwise, so I'm kind of happy to not have to ship that to her if I can arrange it. All right, let's go with events. Do you know where we're going to be later this year? I do.
Well, you have the notes for this one.
It's because that's what I was doing. It's almost like I'm the planner.
I know what we're doing in the fall.
Yes, because why wouldn't we go to the Manitoba Fiber Festival in the fall? We live in Manitoba. In fact, we live in Winnipeg, where the Fiber Festival happens.
In fact.
It's on the 15th and 16th of September this year. It's out at the Red River Exhibition Park Grounds. So that is going to be a massive thing. I suspect the entire Knit Club will be there. I don't see us not all going.
We definitely should all go.
Because I think we all should go. I think it'll be exciting.
You can go and look at the little sheepies and the llamas.
Yes.
And the bunnies. Sometimes there's bunnies.
Sometimes there's bunnies.
Sometimes for Angora.
Well, then in which case we're definitely going to have
Or
Reds
not
and
Angora.
Misty, because you just said the favorite things, which is Fiber for Misty, who is a huge spinning fanatic, and bunnies, and Miss Red owns bunnies. So we're definitely going to have to spend some time with the animals. And I know we're going to participate in the Knit in Public Day on June the 10th this year. I was looking up the date for that to make sure we had the right date on it. So depending on how everyone's work schedules go, I suspect my Knit in Public Day will be a day-long event for me, and I will bounce from Knit Club member to Knit Club member, depending on when they're free, if we can't arrange it to have everybody free to do stuff. So I figure worst case scenario, I'll post my adventures on Instagram. I will, everywhere my knitting goes that day, if it's one location or 8, I will, there will be photographic evidence that I was up from like 7 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night knitting in random public locations. Why not? For now, I think that's it. We've got a couple other things we're thinking about maybe attending, but it's kind of nebulous, and we're tossing around the idea of maybe doing, we should talk about it after the show, possibly participating in a couple of knit-alongs this year. See if we can find ones that we are both excited by.
Yes,
And
that are
do
not
that.
huge, enormous projects that I won't finish for years.
You know, you're just saving it for later.
I'm setting up for Stash Dash.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
saving up for Stash
Dash. I'm just totally sure that's not how that works.
That's totally how it works.
It's totally not how that works.
I'm totally gonna participate in Stash Dash.
All right. And with that, I think we're on to Yarn on the Go. Next, I don't think there's anything else we've... No other events on the top?
That's all for events.
All right. So for the Yarn on the Go is sort of going to be our catch-all place where we're going to talk about apps we use, wish lists for yarn, knit club reviews, and things that we get lovingly enabled into because of our girlfriends who also knit and crochet and spin. And I will eventually learn to use my loom, which my great aunt Jerry gave me for Christmas. It's currently sitting at home looking very lost and forlorn, so I'm going to have to whip that out and do that. So for Yarn on the Go, I want to talk about the Knit Stash Go app. Wordage.
Stash 2 Go?
Stash 2 Go, that's it.
Stash number 2 Go.
Stash number 2 Go.
For Android.
Well, I don't have an iPhone. I have very strong opinions about iPhones, and not all of them are nice.
They're probably similar to my opinions about iPhones.
Don't get me... Love MacBooks. I want a Mac laptop so bad I can taste it.
Oh, I miss my Retina screen from work.
Oh, and it's the Retina screen that I want, because I can see the Retina screen without it being blown up. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm legally blind in my left eye, and I'm almost legally blind in my right eye. So, like, I'm pretty visually impaired. And computers have been a great boon because I can blow stuff up and make things bigger. So I can do a lot of stuff independently that I wouldn't be able to do on my own, which is great because Stash 2 Go has all of my stuff linked to my Ravelry page. But what I did is I got tired of dealing with the ads. I'm actually going to hand my phone over to Diana here so she can play around in the app. So I paid to have the ad-free version. I'm super happy without the ads, but I'm finding it links better to Ravelry. So if you go into the projects, open up a project, you can then click in the icon in the top right-hand corner, and a whole drop-down menu pops up that you can maneuver and fiddle and add notes. And it's got a stitch counter in there too, so you can do your row counters on the project itself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying the sort of added features you get, and it's got a really smooth system to it. I love that it's clean, It's not cluttered, so I can see what I'm doing, which is also a problem for me. Like, I know the projects are the little t-shirt, so even if I can't focus on the word projects that day, I know the little t-shirt shape is the button I want to push. So I find it super helpful. Diana is in full computer tech mode and exploring my app.
Yes, having made ever so many apps in my life. One.
That's more than my none.
I made so many apps.
If you want the honest answer, I haven't made any. I get super impressed when I can turn on my computer and make it do stuff and not make it yell at me or go shut down and have me go, uh-oh.
Not make it go ting angrily.
If I don't have angry computer. Super happy if I don't have angry computer. But it's definitely going to up some of the things I can do, because now I can do a really quick pattern search on Ravelry for things that get mentioned to me. I know Misty mentioned her go-to fingerless glove pattern, which is another free Ravelry pattern. And with my health issues, I dropped a significant amount of weight in a very short period of time. So I'm having problems maintaining my body temperature. So while normally I run warm all the time and it's fine, I found my hands and my wrists get really cold now, especially if I'm trying to do stuff outside and I live in a basement suite. So if I'm downstairs in the basement too long, I can put on warm socks, whatever. I definitely got warm fuzzy socks, but I don't have anything to keep my wrists and my fingers warm when I'm knitting. Oh, she's got the O face of surprise. I think we're going to have a...
I just found the pooling generator.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. I am super happy with what I've paid for that app. I am incredibly impressed. I am really pleased with it. So I wanted to bring it up and mention to everybody. It is a great app, and it's for Android. I think there's an iOS version as well. But if you use Ravelry and you use your phone and you're sort of digitally connected, it is a freaking amazing resource to have. And I know you get a lot of people who talk about apps, and it's always their iOS phones, their Apple phones. So I feel really strongly that when we run across really great Android apps, we need to mention this to people, because that is super important to have that balance both ways.
This is my new favorite thing. I'm just going to be playing with this for a while.
You know, walk on it? I walk all over my app and do things. I gotta upload 50 billion photos to Ravelry on the Granny Square project, and take the finished photos of my lightning fast mittens and my Kit Kat hat, so we can post those as well too.
Does this keep track of places in PDFs too?
Possible. I haven't looked to see if it does or not yet. I haven't fully explored all of it. I can do, again, you may have noticed we were a little busy this weekend. We had your birthday, my birthday, Mr. B's brother-in-law's birthday celebration, and then we had Knit Club, which happens every 2 weeks for us, because again, I'm a planner, and that's what I do. I plan things. And we had we went to the symphony, because we're all mature adults. My grandmother had bought me symphony tickets for my birthday, so we all went to the symphony, and I crocheted at the symphony, and Diana forgot her knitting, so we took an Instagram photo of my stuff, because it came with me. We may have been a bit busy since I've purchased that app. I may not have explored all of my options in there, but I know there are many, and I know that I love the ones I've used so far, and I am looking forward to more.
So at first glance, it is not a pretty app. It does not look like an Apple iOS app. It's not especially pretty.
No.
If you can get past the not looking pretty, it is super functional and really nice.
Let's be honest. Pretty's nice. I want something that works.
It definitely works. There's
That is...
a couple of places where your blown up font size doesn't play nicely with it.
But that's okay. That's not really a consideration of the app. That's just because my font size is set too huge. And sometimes it argues with the fact that my phone keeps telling it needs to be huge print, which is normal for all of my apps. Yeah. Instagram updates, and it updates and the font goes down, and then a couple of days later my phone kicks in and goes, no, font big, and Instagram font goes up in size again for me. So it's not uncommon for me to have that problem with apps, which is totally fine. It's just a process of the visual impairment. But no, I felt like we needed to mention that app because it's an Android app, and it functions well, and for me that's the big kicker. It doesn't have to be pretty, it has to work, especially if I'm going to pay money for it.
Mm-hmm.
witches. I felt it was super necessary.
How much money was it?
Under $10, under $8. It was like $8.99 or something.
U.S. or Canadian?
Canadian.
Okay.
So like that's not so the question whenever you're Canadian, U.S. or Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, oh yeah. Some of the patterns I've been looking at, they're like $6 U.S. I'm like, oh man, that's $8.25 Canadian, right now.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Nothing's ever in Australian dollars.
I think you'd specifically have to request for it to be in that fundage. Same with UK, but that might be just because that's where we are, and if you're in Australia, you get it like an American or Australian or UK or Australian. Ooh.
We are reviewing Sensual Knits by, I'm going to murder this name, Yahira Ferreira?
That's why I really wanted you to read the name.
Very sorry if I got that wrong. I probably got that terribly wrong.
Goodness, I didn't want to pronounce it. So happy we're okay doing that. Yep.
Yahira Ferreira?
Question mark? Now he knows he's being recorded.
So many question marks. Like 6 question marks above my head right now.
Mm-hmm. All of the necessary ones. Alright, I just hearted and wrote down the patterns that I liked, because it is a bigger pattern book, so it's got more than just a handful in them like the one we did last week. So I figured it would be easier if I just talked about the ones I liked and the ones that really didn't catch my eye, or I wasn't super enamored with.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Probably about the
Pretty much, that would have been my thought as well. The structure of the book's nice. I like how they've got them separated into different groupings, so the top layers are in one section, tank tops and shirts are in another, outerwear is in a sort of, or like dresses and skirts and that aren't yet a tertiary section, so I like how they've got the split done that way. I thought the names for it were super cute and definitely fit with the theme of the book. I liked the cover pattern, which is why I actually got the book from the library, for I am a massive fan of the library. I will always champion the library, and I take out way too many books in a year from the library. I read a lot, guys. A lot.
A lot.
My Goodreads challenge this year is 60 books, and I'm already about 12 books in, and we're only into the 3rd month. And I haven't updated my Canada Read books onto there yet.
My goal for the year is 12, 1 book a month. I'm behind already.
Alright. Well, we can count knitting books, so technically.
Oh, well, if we're counting knitting books,
Let's
then
count knitting books. You'll be fine. It's not a problem. So I grabbed the book, and I have a tendency with library books is if I'm looking, is if the cover catches my attention, I will take it home and sort it out later. Because sometimes I find gems, sometimes I don't. And I almost always, if I start looking through books while I'm in the library, other than like reading the back cover and going, you sound amusing, I will be there for days, especially at the big library downtown, which is called the Millennium Library. It is a beautiful, wonderful, huge building full of really, really good books and miles of good books. I don't think I've managed to come up with less than 12 books every time I've gone in.
Oh my goodness.
I like cookbooks, knitting books, yarn books, craft books. I read fantasy novels, young adult novels, new
I guess if you're getting a bunch of craft
nonfiction.
books, that makes sense to take out lots at once.
I take out a lot of books.
It's a lot of
And again,
books.
I'm making faces on my audio podcast because, you know, people can see us.
Oh, yes.
Woohoo! So, which ones did you like?
The first one that I liked was the lace panel twin set, but just the sweater part, because I'm really not a fan of knitted shirts. I don't know what it is, I don't like knitted shirts.
That's fair. I'm not a massive twin set fan.
I can also do without the twin set aspect, but the sweater was really cute.
The lace detailing was nice. I liked the lace detailing on it.
It was just a nice little lace thing up by the shoulder, and the elbow-length sleeves. I love elbow-length sleeves.
I'm torn on elbow length sleeves. The first one I liked was the Vixen camisole. It was one of the first few patterns. It was the red one.
With the drop stitches.
Yeah, with the drop stitches. I thought that just looked really nifty. I would, of course, make the straps wider and put one of my regular t-shirt tanks underneath it, because I am not a small, buxomed lady. As we've gone over in the previous, I am built like a bar wench, so there's a lot to cover. I'm not super impressed with the sizing in most of the patterns. They sort of, and I mean, you can adjust the size and you can make it go up and go down based off your gauge swatch. Like, and I can do the math.
Mm-hmm.
but I really don't want to have to do the math.
I think most of the patterns stopped at a bust size around 43 or 44 inches.
Yeah, which is okay, but I know there's a giant portion of the population that have more than a 44-inch bust.
Yeah.
I'm not considered super over endowed, I'm just considered well endowed, and I'm sitting at 52 inches for a bust. I'm super happy when pattern is start like 50, I can increase a pattern by 2 inches, no problem. But at the 44 range, I'm adding almost 10 inches.
That's like a whole new pattern at that point.
Yeah, so it's a lot of math and a lot of fitting. So it's like, I love the Vixen camisole, but I don't know if I'll ever make it, because that's one of the ones I would have to super alter. And that's kind of like, really?
Another thing I didn't like so much about the camisoles, at least in this book, is they're just tubes. I am not a tube. I am an hourglass.
I'm
I
more
am-
of a tube.
I am very much an hourglass.
I am-
I am not a tube.
I'm
I am a
tube.
top-heavy hourglass, in fact. So if I make something,
Top heavy tube.
I'm not a tube.
I'm a tube.
So if I make something that fits the top of the hourglass, the rest of the hourglass is drowning in like 10 inches of extra fabric.
Oh, so yeah, you'd have to significantly alter the waist to bust ratio. Yeah.
And I'm
No, I can
really
see how
not
that'd be a
keen on
problem.
figuring out how to add waist shaping to a lace pattern.
No, that's fair. It's really pretty. I wish the sizing was even a little bit closer so I didn't have to do quite so much adjusting. Like, that would make it more approachable for me. So I'll just kind of look at it and go, oh, maybe make it for my niece.
Yeah.
Which she could wear over top of her tanks and stuff, make it longer so she can have like a tunic length and wear it with her leggings and stuff in the summer, and that would be totally cool. My niece, who's 10 by the way, is an extra small adult, if that tells you how tall this kid is.
Very tall kid.
She is officially over 5'1" now, because I believe my Aunt Geraldine is 5'1" or 5 feet tall.
She's seriously that tall? Because I'm only 5'6".
Yeah, no, she's about 4 to 5 inches shorter than you. You have to remember, this kid comes up to my underarm. Her head's about my chest level, and I'm 5'10".
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So she puts on much more height, and she seems to be growing again. We're gonna be a tall, gangly teenager on our hands before we know it. Alright. I did like the Betty V-neck vest, which seems weird for me to say, as I am decidedly not a vest person.
I'm also very much not a vest person, continuing not to be a vest person.
I love the shoulder detail. I
I
can't
did
get
like-
over it.
I did like the
So
shoulder detail.
pretty.
I don't really like the vest. I don't like sweater vests as a concept, but the shoulder detail was very interesting.
I think I just want to take that shoulder detail and the chart for it and put it on a cardigan.
Yeah?
That's what I want to do. I don't want the vest, just want the shoulder detailing. Because that was really, really pretty. The ambient background noise is brought to you by the brothers today, as they are entertaining themselves while we wrap this up, because we started way too late today. What else did you like?
The next thing that I liked, that I actually have smiley face, the Sayuri sweater.
Oh my god, we like the same thing.
I noted down, not sure about the sleeves, about like the bell sleeves.
I think if we extended them so they were full length, that would be really pretty. They're a 3/4 length sleeve, and I think they just need to be increased so that they're full arm sleeves or a proper elbow length sleeve. Either shorten them a bit or lengthen them a bit.
Maybe that's what I didn't like. I couldn't quite figure out what
Yeah,
it
it was-
was that it was bothering me.
I would look past it, and I loved the form, and I loved the fit, and I loved the bell sleeves, but I couldn't figure out why. I was like, and then I was like, you know what? I don't wear 3/4 length sleeves. I live in a place where either you want sleeves or you don't.
Yeah, there's really no in between.
I don't really have a day where I'm like, what I could really use is half sleeves that only go down to my forearms. It just feels awkward to me, but I would extend it to a full length sleeve, and I could see you shortening it to an elbow length sleeve. I think that's really all that needs to be done. But hey, comes in our bust sizes.
Woo!
So the pattern is actually properly sized for real life people, from small people to not small people. From, those of us who are not built like bar wenches and don't like it, to those who are built like bar wenches and don't like it. As far as I can tell, none of us are happy with our bodies. Just saying, I rock a corset like nobody's business.
I really want to see a bar wench cosplay now.
I'll do one. We'll talk about it for C4. There we go. If that doesn't get me free drinks, I don't know what will.
We should have knit club be just a squad of like bar winches.
In knitting at C4 in our bar winch costumes. Oh my god, we're talking to Reds about this. She will so be behind this. We're doing Disney princesses this year. There's no way we can't talk her into bar winches. Like, that's totally gonna work. Alright, I also like the seated cables cardigan.
Seated cables cardigan. I did not like that one.
God, I think it's just my obsession with cardigan cables coming in.
I felt like, I don't know, it was like too bunchy with the cables.
Oh, and on my height, can you just imagine that done in a fingering or like a sport weight, like in a Cascade 220? So you got a finer weight to it. So they definitely went with a bit of a thicker yarn than I would go with, but just extended out to a tunic length rather than that hip line. Okay. So extended out a couple of inches. I mean, it also obviously means more cabling, more seed, more everything. But I think it would just make a wonderful drapey, decadent kind of sweater cardigan you could put on to go somewhere to do something that's fancier without sacrificing that comfort level that you'd get from a well-constructed warm cardigan. That's the kind of cardigan you wear on a fall day with a really flashy scarf because it's got something to stand up against it.
And like belted with a decent looking belt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, I can
got
see that.
Got some options for it. I am also obsessed with cables, so we can take all of what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Since I see a cable and my brain goes, must have cables.
I also love a good cable, but I'm slightly pickier about my cables.
I am apparently not picky about my cables, just happy with a cable.
Okay.
The more intricate and more Celtic the cable, the happier I am. I'm happy with cables. Anything else get dry?
I'm on to my next page. Ugh. What else did I smiley? I have like half smileys on a few things.
Half smileys? How does one draw a half smiley? Do you just draw the eyes with no smile face?
It's sort of a line across with a up at the end. It sort of looks like a flattened check mark.
It's a smirk.
It's a smirk, yeah.
It's a smirk smiley.
Yeah, it's a smirk. The Cleopatra wrap was the next thing that I liked.
Oh, that wasn't a bad wrap. I liked the Milita coat.
That was one where I have a half smiley.
Alright.
There's something about the buttons and the cuffs that they just seemed like they didn't quite fit properly or something.
It was the wrong choice of buttons. I think with a better button, it would have looked a lot better.
The cuffs seemed like oddly bunchy or loose or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again, I think that's just a finishing detail that could be easily tweaked. But
as a whole concept, yeah, I liked it.
Oh yes. I was like, I need more knitted pea coats is what I need. As opposed to wool pea coats, of which I own 6. I need them knitted now. If I like something, I buy it in all the colors. That's how my life works. I kid you not, I have a black pea coat, a purple pea coat, a white pea coat.
Coats.
And that's just the pea coats. That's not counting the couple of other winter coats, plus vests, plus spring coat, plus...
I need a spring coat.
I want to buy a trench coat, which is essentially a spring pea coat.
I need a spring coat that's better than my dad's old trench coat.
Sure, we can go looking for spring coats together. It's about time for us to do it anyway. What did you like about the wrap?
Oh, it seemed nice and classic and elegant and
Ooh.
like a thing that I'd actually make and wear.
That's always a bit of a bonus, eh? That's the same with how I looked at the coat, because I would wear a nice knitted coat. I have a red one on my Ravelry cute boards that I've showed people that I will go nuts making, but it will happen because I need a 3/4 length red coat with I-cord all over the back of it and a huge flower somehow with a hood. I need that. I don't know why I need that. In red. Like,
yeah.
Red. Like
maybe we can do a knit along for that, because I might need that too.
Super deep auburny reds.
Yeah.
Like a really rich one. I look really good in rich gem colors, but that's a coat that I'm okay doing in a full-on wool and just telling Mr. B not to get too close to, because...
No hugs today.
No hugs today, because I'm wearing my fancy coat. I liked the... What do I got going on here? I liked the look of the Eris beaded dress. It was that white dress with
the
triangle pattern on the bottom.
Okay.
The only downside is, my God, the sizing was restrictive.
I didn't even bother looking at the sizing on most of the patterns.
I did. because it's whether or not I would make it. And the dress is freaking adorable. And I was just like, if they had it in the right size, how good would that be for your wedding?
I still don't like knitted dresses.
Which is fair. But
Just-
I'm like,
I don't like knitted shirts. I don't like knitted skirts. Knitted sweaters, absolutely love knitted sweaters.
it's totally fine. I was just like, in a nice, in a sport weight and a DK weight and like a turquoise blue, I have it really pretty.
Yeah, I can see it.
I would be fine if it was shorter and hit me in the knees, whatever. But they only do like to a 36-inch bust or something. They don't even
What?
break the 40 inches, I think. Anyway, it was super restrictive. So it's like, okay, now I have to give it a frowny face, even though I wrote it down as I like it. Because then I'm like, okay, no, people come in different sizes. And if you don't come in my size, you go above my size, even get close to my size, I can be like, okay, at least you register that people come in other sizes. But if you're that restrictive, it's like...
Like I have to add 10 inches to that, and I'm not a very large person.
So it's like, really? We come in different sizes, which I found was a problem with a lot of the dresses, is their sizing was a bit more restrictive than I would have liked. I'm certainly willing to try a knitted dress. I won't know if I like it or not till I make one. I didn't know if I like maxi dresses till I wore them. Love them, but I didn't know if I'd like them or not till I found one that was long enough for me. Again, it's a problem for me. Way too tall. I put on maxi dresses and they hit me, and they're like flood dresses. They come maybe to the bottom, to the tops of my ankles.
Oh.
So I just trim them off to make them T length.
Okay.
Again, working with what I got. T length dresses are knee length dresses. Knee length dresses are way too short for me to be wearing in public because I like to bend over at the waist. Oh, did you like anything else?
That's all the things that had smileys for me.
I liked the looped shawl. It was like the last pattern in the book.
Yeah.
Ah, so pretty.
I found it architecturally interesting, but not visually appealing to me.
Oh, I thought it was wonderfully visually appealing and architecturally interesting. But again, I like things I can touch and feel, so it might be the textured look of it, where I feel like I
Okay.
can touch and feel what's going on with it, that might be why I enjoy it so much, so there's entirely that process to it.
I might have gotten caught up in the yarn choice. It had a bit of like a rough halo kind of look to it, but I don't like halos on yarn. And
Okay.
like, I don't know. Maybe if it was in like a smoother yarn, I'd like it more.
Entirely possible. I could see how the halo thing would sort of drive people bonkers. Alright, overall, I think it's a book you can rent from the library.
Yep.
Unless you really fit that range of sizing, which is quite restrictive. But if you're into that extra small to medium size range, you'll probably find a lot of them. And they're quite classy knits. Like, they're really pretty.
If you're model sized, it's a great book.
Model sized, or you go towards that, you don't require Western American, Canadian, Western culture, generous sizing proportions.
Yes, I suppose if you're one of those adorable tiny Asian women.
Or just adorably tiny. Miss D is adorably tiny.
That's
Reds
that's
is
true.
adorably tiny. And it'll work better for them because there's less modifications. If you're okay modifying stuff, go for it. I'm hesitant because I know there are patterns out there that I don't have to modify that are just as pretty, and I'd rather not have to do the math if I can avoid it. So it's a rent it, it's a look at it, but I don't think it's something you need to add to your collection immediately.
I agree.
All right. I think that's everything today. So we will say until next week. This is Jocelyn and
Diana,
saying don't forget to knit.
you're on the podcast now. Awkward silence.
Mr. B went and hid.
That's fair.
I kind of forgot about him.
I
He's been
imagine
really
this part
quiet.
will get edited out, except for that part where I said it could get edited out. That part won't.